my gosh. Yeah,
I've
it's
been
already been
recording.
like an hour.
Yep, same.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, guys. It's a bit slow. So, um, all right then. Let's get started. I will nominate the first character to be changed, and let's start with Havoc Rover. I think Havoc Rover should be in the same tier as these characters. Encore, Calaro. Well, I guess yeah, since Calaro is still there, but I think she's on this level personally. I'd put her here.
I would also agree with that on tier 0.5. However, I do not agree with her being on the same level as Calaro and Encore. But that's a different.
Oh, do you think she's better or worse?
I think Encore is better than 0. But let's talk about that when we talk about Encore.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, I think it's pretty unanimous at this point that Havoc Rover actually, if we're only doing in isolation, I think Havoc Rover is definitely good, like definitely worthy of being 0.5. But not every tier list necessarily only has like pairings, right? Like I think last time we compared or we tried to do Calaro without Yinlin, and we were trying to split things up a little bit, like not make them necessarily tied to the hip. I do think that if you have Danjin and if you run like the double Dreamless thing with Havoc Rover, it's really strong. But she by herself, I think Pridewin was doing some calculations with how much damage you have with just like a single Dreamless, or if you were just running her more as like a mainstay on-field DPS, and it's not as high. But I mean, I don't think that's what people are doing her or doing with her. So I think she's still pretty good, and I would definitely still keep her in 0.5.
Short question. We rate her at S2, right? Not S6.
Yeah. S2 is fine, but I mean, we can also slightly take into consideration her S6 because we will get that soon-ish, probably. Right.
Yeah. So I personally think 0.5 is fine. However, if we take into consideration that her S6 makes her literally deal more damage than some other 5 stars, I think tier 0 might even be close. However, we have to keep in mind that will still take a while till we get that as well.
Right. Right. Okay, yeah. Gotcha Gamer, do you have any opinion on this?
I'm just checking like her sequences, and I honestly think only the one that impacts her right now besides S2 is S6, right?
Yes.
The one that gives her like crit rate for 25%.
It's insane damage increase, actually.
Yeah, it's a huge boost basically. You save like what, 2 or 3, well, I guess 3 or 4 substat rolls here. Wait, Dark Surge.
It's a whole main stat. It's a whole 4-cost echo.
What is Dark Surge?
Yeah.
It's more than that technically because it's 25 and this is 22.
Dark Surge?
That's her Umbra, I'm assuming. Umbra state.
Yeah, when it's her.
Yeah, it's
when you hold.
Dark Surge, here it is.
It's a 15.5% damage difference compared to S5, which means she gets up to 30k, which is Encore or beyond levels even without signature weapon.
She gets this too. The 10% Havoc Res is another multiplier, which is huge.
Yeah.
That's an entirely another multiplier.
Quite big as well.
Yeah.
Or the combo, like literally right there, right?
Yeah, the S4 so the S4 depends a little bit on how you play the rotation. It is somewhere between 11 to 12% more damage, 4 to 12% more damage, and that's only for her. As soon as you take into account basically all of everything else, gets quite insane, especially if you have a Havoc team.
So because we, I'm assuming we want this tier list to last a little longer than like a few weeks. Do we put her in T0 for this reason? Because you'll get better with her constellations.
Do we know for sure when we're gonna get her?
No.
So yeah, I think 0.5 is fine currently for that sole reason. Because we don't know how long it will take until we get her S6. I mean, we don't even have Spectre Rover S6 yet, do we?
Yeah.
No, we don't, yeah.
And until then, maybe the game also power creeps a little, so...
Right. Okay.
They could remove the interaction between the Dreamlesses. Like, like, to be real, they can do whatever they want at this point. It's kind of future-proofing or predicting the future is a little tough, I would say. All
right, so we'll jot this one down. I guess no one is protesting this placement for Havoc Rover, so that was a clean move up for her. I guess I'll move her right behind Encore just for optics reason, even though it's like, not particularly ordered, right?
Yep.
All right. So who wants to choose the next victim here?
I want to discuss about Encore, simply because I think her placement is fine, but not fine at the same time. So Encore by itself, I think, what we have to keep in mind, we also rank certain characters not only based on the damage, but also the utility they provide, right? For example, Sanghua. Sanghua moved up to tier 0.5 simply because she is so versatile and she can be used in a lot of different places. A lot of teams want her, and that's also a reason why she moves up. It's not only her damage. And Encore has this little special thing where people, especially CN now, found out, and it always existed, but people now started using her as a hybrid character in quick swap teams where you mostly utilize her E and try to quick cancel that. And not only does she a lot of damage, which is very similar compared to others, but she also can be played in this hybrid case in quick swap teams, which, for example, Calaro only has that place basically, or Jian only has the place as a main carry. And I think that warrants her to move up a tier, personally. However, I think having her in tier 0.5 is fine as well. And I can't talk anymore.
Yeah, she's really interesting because her skill is so incredible because it's also like a battery too, right? Like it batteries your team so well and it's so free to just swap on and use and then get off.
It's so
your
fast
other character.
too.
Yeah.
Like charging her resonance energy or her concerto energy is the fastest that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Honestly.
Because you could use 2Es before the ultimate and it's basically full, right?
Yeah, it's not if you land the ice, it's like dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, it is a hard choice. And actually my chat is fairly split on this. 48% tier 0.5, 41% tier 0. Yeah. That's also really interesting.
I think it's very difficult because Encore also doesn't have like the best support or buffer for her yet. So that also is like Sanghua is good, but it could be better. For example, if they basically would release Yunlin, except it would buff basic attack damage and fusion damage, that could get really big for her. But again, I mean, we said for Rover that we don't know when, so we can't take this into account here, right?
Well, what do you think, Mr. Gacha Gamer?
I don't know. I'm just trying to like wrap my hair around her because not around her, like about her.
It can be around her, bro. Don't worry.
No,
don't worry. We're with you there too.
I don't know. I think she's pretty good, but like I'm just trying to think about all the damage dealers we have right now, and obviously she's gonna be usable, but like who else is not usable right now? I think everyone's pretty fine.
Maybe
like does she give like an insane edge? Like in my opinion, I don't know, because like right now I'm like horizontally investing into every single character I have. It's insane. Like I spent all my like stamina on tacit fields, like rage-inducing results happening all the time.
Relatable.
Yeah. And I'm trying like to build every single character because I want to like examine all the teams, because I mean theory crafting is fine, but like I really like to like use things on field, like just go and play the actual characters. And I think she's fine. Like she's good. Obviously she's at least 0.5 in my opinion, but that's like for every damage dealer except like maybe for a few at the moment.
Yeah, I think
I like her, but I don't know, like I'm not sure if she's super cracked.
So I think what's really interesting is also the difference between CN and rest of the planet. Because, for example, CN rates her equally, if not even better than Jian. However, I think my main problem is that Encore is mainly single target damage and her weakness is basically enemies which are not grouped up. But yeah, also, true. That's also a good point. We have to keep in mind as soon as Ringmaster gets available, Encore will get an insane damage boost for everybody who has that. Like, it's pretty disgusting.
That's actually coming in like a week and a half or whatever, right? So that's really soon.
Sorry, you
Oh.
said Ringmaster? What
String
Oh.
Master, Yinlin's weapon.
Yeah, Yinlin's weapon.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, so sorry to like actually piggyback off of what you were saying, Gacha Gamer. I mean, if you were to like isolate this, so we don't necessarily have to do this the same way that Pridewind did in terms of breaking down the roles, but if you were to break it down in terms of like the hybrids or like who's going to be mostly on the field, or you want to do like the bulk of your damage, who would you put in the same category as Sanhua and you would put above her such that she wouldn't be tier 0? Because does that mean that there's no tier 0 hybrid or like tier 0 of her same role? Because
Well,
sorry, go
I
ahead.
mean, yeah, sorry. I mean, I made the tier list video because I honestly think that when it comes to like damage dealers, it's always going to be the same story with them, and they're not usually really future proofed. And if we're rating this, like if we take into account future proofing, it's always going to be somebody else that's going to come out and like beat them. But at the same time, like what's the value when you're looking at the tier list? Like in my opinion, obviously it's always going to be first place. Like you want to have a support because it's always going to be like shuffled around. But the problem in here, at least, is that no matter how you look at the character, you're still gonna have only 4 uses for that character in the tower adversity, right? It's 4 uses, I think. So like,
Yeah.
okay, you have a support, but it's kind of like almost like a damage dealer because you cannot like utilize them on on like every single side. You only like you get only 4 uses. So
Mhm.
I'm also a bit conflicted, like even placing like supports in like tier 0 or whatever. Because yeah, they're good, but they also have like limited amount of uses. It's a bit more complex in this case than in Genshin, because in Genshin there's like 2 sides for the abyss. That's it. Like it's very simple to understand that. And here, like you have to like decide where you want to use. Because I saw like a lot of people like utilizing the whole shuffling thing, where they just like play the support like maybe for one chamber, then put them in like another chamber instead. Like it's very flexible. So I'm not like sure, but like obviously like right now Verena, Jianxin, she definitely like surprised me a lot. Um, and all the other characters like, but for damage dealers, I think they're all kind of fine. Like, also by the way, a funny thing about Calaro, I just learned today that his name is actually Calaro. I like checked English and Japanese, like how he introduces himself. He says like, "My name is Calaro. I'm like some kind of a leader of some like cringy Merc group. I don't know, like some really boring job he had. I thought he was like a Sephiroth brother or something like
It's
that.
just, the Japanese VA is the same, by the way, for him and like in
Sephiroth?
Sephiroth. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Oh
I
my
so
see.
it does
gosh.
kind of
Right.
make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, no, you're not tripping. Don't worry. Also,
You-
wait, sorry, just because I saw it and I wanted to make sure I'm not tripping. This is in regard to Encore or Sanhua when you're talking about your placement of like the character.
Sanhua, I think I just tried her for in like 2 teams because I'm like
Okay,
writing up this like
okay,
big
okay.
document
There
right
was a
now.
misunderstanding. Sorry, my bad.
And yeah, I'm sorry if
I
I'm like
agree with
all
you. I
over.
agree with you.
Yeah, but I'm like
Yes.
all over the place right now because I'm like I have like this massive like 7,000 word document of all the characters, and it's so hard to like keep track of all of them, like what I
Mhm.
wrote down, all the notes. Like Sanhua, I think basically you just run her almost all the time with Moonlit set and use her like usually as like well, not a support, like a sub DPS support. Like usually
Mhm.
that's how you use her,
Mhm.
at least in my opinion. That's why I found like what's the practical use for her. I'm not haven't even really tried like her as a main damage dealer, like the one that takes up like the most field time.
Yeah.
Because it looks like to me, you just basically switch in, do the skill because it like increases the wave bar below. Like it's easier to aim the heavy attack or whatever to trigger it. Use the burst to like trigger the icicle that's left on the ground. And then usually you switch to somebody else who like needs the basic attack deepen and the moonlit set when the outro is ready.
Mhm.
Like that's how I view
Okay.
her right now. Like view her like a like a battery slash booster.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I know we kind of deviated. My bad. I think I got like lost a bit. I don't know if I was just staring deeply into Sanhua's eyes or something. But I know this is supposed to be the encore section. I
Encore, yeah,
think
yeah.
I do think that encore I mean I feel like just based off of everything that we've seen, just to kind of I guess wrap my thoughts on this character, I think she's definitely just outside of pulling for Gian, and especially if you're like a Yinland skipper, this has got to be like the go-to DPS, right?
Well, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
mean, she's
Obviously,
she's so solid, right? Yeah.
The thing about her is that she's super approachable compared to Calaro.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry if I sound pretentious using Calaro. Like I had to like convince myself to call this guy Calcaro after like
No,
having
I
him.
mean, if that's what they say, that's what they say.
He's
It's
living
fine.
like rent free in my head as
I
Calcharo, but I have
I
to like
can't do
force
it.
myself to think. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be calling him like Calcaro. It's really bad. I'm sorry about this, but I have to convince myself I understand his name. But yeah, I
Okay.
think Encore was basically one of the more easier characters to play. I think that's one of the bigger selling points because, in my opinion, like maybe you guys don't like to take this into account, but like I always think about the mobile audience, like because like a
Mhm.
lot of people play gacha games on their phones, especially like in Japan. You know, ignoring the fact that's what's happening right now with WoWa in Japan. But like a lot of people just play this game on like these gacha games on phones, and I tried to play on my iPhone, like which by the way stutters, so I had to like play on Samsung instead. And Encore is quite easy to play on phone compared to like Calcaro. Like it's
Yeah.
Yeah, I
very
think.
different experience.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, if we do this regularly anyway, I personally think in probably 2 weeks or something, he will likely move up to tier 0, simply because String
Okay.
Master is released. So, I mean, we can also just leave her at tier 0.5, right? It's honestly not that big of a difference. Like,
Yeah, I agree. So let's just leave her at tier 0.5. I do think the discussion was valuable though, and there is a case definitely to make for tier 0 placement, but like you said, we will probably revisit this knowing us and knowing the way that these things tend to go. So great.
Mhm.
Great. I'm fine with that. Let's see then. So we talked about Encore. I think we should save Calcaro. Calcaro.
Don't bother, it's fine. Just call him
Sephiroth.
Calcharo.
Sephiroth.
Yeah,
Sephiroth.
yeah.
Yes.
Discount
Okay.
Yes, yes.
I think we'll save Dollar Tree Sephiroth for a bit later, and let's talk about Jianxin. I think she's a good one to talk about.
okay, I will just give my 2 cents because I don't have too much to talk about her. I know that Fridrin moved her to tier 0.5 and relegated her from a hybrid to
support.
a support, using, for example, the Originite weapon, which makes it easier to. I mean, she can heal by herself, but using the Originite weapons,
very
it's
long.
easier.
More consistent, yeah.
Yes. Personally, I can see her being tier 0.5 in certain teams, for example, in quick swap teams, especially with Havoc Rover, where you basically just take Jianxin, press her ultimate, and then swap to auto attack ultimate, so you work the rejuvenating set, and then you go to Havoc Rover, press one time your ultimate, and then swap back out to basically any other character, for example, Danjin, whatever. However, I haven't tested her myself, so that is literally the only thing I can do. That is basically just reiterating what Fridrin says, which is also why I don't want to give my personal opinion.
Yeah, so I can tell you about my experience using her. Basically, if I couldn't use Verena, I would always choose her over literally any other support. Right.
I mean, to be
And
fair, which other supports do we have?
Baizhi.
well, exactly, yeah. We have
Yangyang.
Baizhi, Yangyang,
Yangyang,
Sunhua,
kinda.
maybe to an extent, right? And, and basically, she was just the no Verena, press this button instead. And she was also, I think she did make it a lot easier for my secondary team, which was the Havoc Rover plus Encore team, to clear their 3-star, their 3 Doritos. Right. So basically, if we look at the tower, and sorry, it's gonna take that door opens very slowly. But basically, Jianxin was here and here, and she was absolutely invaluable. And she was also here and here, and being absolutely invaluable in both of these. So I'm in the mindset still that you will pretty much always utilize, you can pretty much always utilize to the fullest 10 vigors worth of stamina for Jianxin for the near foreseeable future. So me personally, I would want to move her up to tier 0.5.
So I actually I I don't want to say I've spent too much time playing the character. I have her. I gave her some stuff, but I haven't like given her gear. I know right now people are putting her in the support section, and I think that's fine. But something that I was finding, maybe it's just because like I don't know, I'm not really refreshing or anything. I'm kind of just building the characters I have, and I have 3 DPS basically. Well, technically 4 DPS build. But the issue that I kind of found with Jianxin is that actually, and you mentioned it earlier, you brought up that one stage that had the young roastrooms. And
Yes.
just in general, like they don't move.
Nope.
And yeah, the roastrooms cannot be vacuumed up, if I'm not mistaken. I'm like pretty sure they can't
No,
because I've
you're
tried it.
correct. They can't.
But the thing is, and I agree that like of course, if you're not gonna use Rena, if you're not gonna use some other character, like and she's specifically for the support slot, it feels nice to have her. But I guess you make a really good point because originally my counterpoint or my big argument about this was that I don't know how many situations you actually need the 4 times or like the AoE suck up. But I also think that if you invest more into this character, even if you end up using her as a support, like I don't know, like a support just with the originate, if you end up giving her some damage, I don't think she does bad damage. I'm like fairly certain. Like I've seen people try to use her with damage, and it doesn't look that bad. And if you have a character that does a decent amount of damage, and honestly, if you're using the quick swap team where it doesn't really feel like you're taking that much damage in general, anyways, or Danjin is healing herself, or Rover is only on field for a little bit, then maybe you could just run her as like a hybrid as well. Or like if you are going to run her on the healing set, why not just give yourself, crit as like a main stat? Because it's not like she's healing herself, right? In like a meaningful way. She's pretty much there to do the quick swap. She's there to do the vacuum, and then she's there to enhance the resonance damage. So that's kind of like what I thought and why I'm okay with putting her in 0.5. And originally I was going to say, again, like I think people are definitely loving the character a bit more right now just because she's hot and I love her. Like she's a great character, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like I've noticed a couple times where I've been, for instance, trying to get 20 stars in the Abyss. And for like the stages that you mentioned earlier, I had already cleared them with whatever character, like Danjin, Rover, and I don't know. I don't even remember at this point who I used, but anyone, Baizhi, and it was fine. So I was just trying to figure out where she was mandatory, where it was really important to have her. Like her role was was invaluable compared to any other person. But
No, yeah, I don't think any character is mandatory for anything at this point, right?
yeah.
And okay, so one more thing about Jianxin is that you kind of touched on it, but she needs very, very little investment to be still very, very helpful, right? My Jianxin just has enough health to literally not die.
Yeah,
And
too.
Yeah, that's all she needs, right? And she just has the originite weapon, which is completely look level 1.
Yep.
What is this? What is this garbage? But you know what? That's all she needs. And I had the level 1 artifacts.
Doesn't she need quite a bit of ER? Like 150 cost?
So my goal with her was not to ultimate every rotation,
Okay,
right?
fair.
Because I'm not even going to bother investing a bunch of echoes just to get her to do that. But still, ultimating every other rotation I found was perfectly great and valuable for this team.
Yep, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I honestly, this is gonna be like a bit of a spoiler, but I think now that people have been able to test, I think like most of these characters, if you put like any reasonable amount of investment, into the character, I think they'll be okay. Like I know we have tier 3, but like if someone actually put more than like just their eyes staring at like Taoqi and actually invested in her, like she would probably be okay and or clearable through the abyss as well. But we're on Jianxin, so I think unless if anyone else has something to say about it, I think she's fine at 0.5.
When Toulouse, did you bother like charging up her shield, or do you just go for the level 1 shield and that's it?
You just do an instant cancel to just get the concerto plus the
I thought so because it's very long. Like it's not, and I think
Yeah, it
at
is
least
long.
like against like hologram bosses is like useless. The shield is just
It's
gets
a
popped,
meme.
like, in a second. But obviously, if you do want to like maintain the shield on the character, you could potentially like go away from the originite weapon and use something else. But the problem is that usually the rotations are like so fast and switching.
Mhm.
Like before like the 6 seconds kick in for the first heal, like you might just miss a lot of like. Well, I mean, right now it's like 80 flat attack for some of my characters, like 100, like to 150 flat attack. The buff that she provides from rejuvenating set, I
Hmm.
believe. Like, so it's not that bad if you feel like you're forced to play Originite weapon, because usually it will kick in and then it like remains for 30 seconds. Like it's a
Yeah.
massively long buff. Like you don't have to like hyper optimize so like sweatily just
Oh,
to make sure like the Originite weapon works. Obviously, like if I was making a video, I would mention the Originite weapon, but like it's fine to like run the shield. But the problem is obviously if you lose the shield and before the 6 seconds pass, then you also don't get the rejuvenating set bonus.
wait. No, the rejuvenate. Are you talking the rejuvenating set?
Yeah, he's
Rejuvenating
saying
set.
if he's not running the Originite Gauntlet, the only
Yeah.
way for
Oh,
him to
oh
get
yes, yes, yes.
the
Without the
effect would
gauntlet.
be that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
takes
yeah,
six
yeah.
seconds for the. You have to have the shield on, and you have to wait for 6 seconds for the first heal to kick in. I had to test it,
So
like, and
yeah,
it's a bit clunky, but it's still possible to do it if you like you're abusing, I guess, swap canceling and the not infinity, invincibility frames with like ultimates. Those 6 seconds could pass pretty quickly, but obviously you're gonna miss out on that attack
yeah,
bonus while doing this.
for
Mhm.
sure. I think if you're not running her on Originite, you should, and you're still running her as support, then the Moonlit Clouds is a better set for her, right? Because then you can slap on the Concerto gauntlets and go for faster
And
outros.
Heron, yeah, and Heron is also
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
the Heron build is also really good on her. And finally, she can be built to do damage too later down the road, right?
Yeah.
So that is some great flexibility as well, which also bodes well for her, in my opinion. So
I honestly like think for a moment she's like kind of a mix between Venti and like
yeah,
Zhongli.
a bit. Yeah, the shield is hard to utilize because, like you say,
Yeah,
she's
but she
like,
still like provides shielding and also like
yeah,
sucks up the enemies. It's kind of funny. Like
it is. Yeah, yeah, good stuff. Okay, so is anyone going to complain about moving her up to tier 0.5?
No, fine.
only me
That's fine.
because I rated her as B tier, so I'm getting like fuck.
Oh no, dude, no,
Yet
dude. B
again.
for dude. It's B for
Best.
best. There you
B
go,
for Bennett.
dude.
B for
Best.
best. Okay. Jianxin up to tier 0.5. I think no one's going to complain about that. Well, except for Gotcha Gamer. I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Okay. So we've done another character movement. Great. Great. Who wants to choose the next hot topic here?
Taoqi?
I want to. Oh, do you want to talk
Yeah,
about
go
Taoqi?
ahead.
I don't
All
know.
right.
I think it's kind of funny she's sitting at the bottom, but today I've been like writing a lot of things about all the characters, and I was thinking like, okay, so Taoqi can actually be used kind of with Chixia, right? Because she boosts her like skill damage, and you can slap on her like either Moonlit or like Rejuvenating set. I don't know, like, is she really a bottom tier character? I rated her as bottom tier as well, but like, I don't know. She doesn't feel that bad, I guess. I mean, I tried her to use an adversity tower. Like, she gets the job done. She's essentially like a walking artifact set.
That's a lot of these. To be fair, that's a lot of characters when
a
you don't have
walking
investment on them. That's really
Yeah,
how
yeah,
most
yeah.
of them feel,
I
to
guess,
be
yeah.
honest.
Walking artifact set, bro.
I
Oh man.
I will say personally, I have definitely not invested enough into this character, but I think something that we just saw earlier with, I mean, how we were rating Jianxin and even I'm sure Sanhua compared to how it was earlier, like when we had that little bit of talk about her. Um, you have to like think about the characters that you're going to be pairing with her, in order for us to even see her potential. So like Taoqi, like you mentioned, right, is going to like maybe synergize well with Chixia. There are
Yeah.
probably like maybe 10 Chixia mains compared to like the infinite Encore Gian mains. maybe Mr. I win to lose here would maybe qualify as a Chixia main, but he
Oh,
was a
my
bit
level 1.
disrespectful.
My level 1
Oh
yeah.
my.
Oh no.
But you know what I mean? Like if Taoqi is as good as you describe, right? Like this is kind of like imagine how underrated or how slept on someone like Mortefi would be if people weren't all like pulling for Gian.
Okay,
right?
so I will just give you my 2 cents. Take whatever you want from that. I personally think Taoqi's sequences don't really help her much. And my main problem is she has really, really bad concerto problems. So the main way how she generates concerto is either by her forte, obviously her ultimate, but well, it's an ultimate, And lastly, her skill. The problem is her skill doesn't really generate that much, and it's on a 15 seconds cooldown, which is really long. And on top of that, she does have the split scaling as well, which means her basic attacks don't deal damage, the rest does. So I'm personally not sure how to really utilize her correctly, because her cooldowns are too long for a quick swap team. Her auto attacks don't deal damage and don't generate enough concerto, which means you would need to build full ER for the ultimate, but then, I mean, the ultimate also still has a cooldown. So, I mean, I guess she fixes skill issues because she can prevent one-shots, I guess. It's like a mini Bellborn, but honestly, like Gacha Gamer is kind of right, it's a walking artifact set. Like the Bellborn Echo does more than her protection does.
Oh
hey,
my
all
gosh.
good, man. You could just run Originite on this character too, and also get your healing set bonus. Dude, we've come full circle.
Okay, so first of all, she heals by herself as well. That's fair. However, have you read the Originite Type 1?
Broadblade. Yeah, I don't remember. Some of them are bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's when her resonance skill is released. It's fine, but...
Oh, it's stuck on resonance skill, so like it's still like limited by time.
Yeah. I mean, it's anyway limited because it can only proc every 12 seconds, but I mean, it's less than her skill cooldown, which is 15 seconds. So you can't
Does
even...
the heal go up when you imprint it? Is that what happens when you get more copies of it?
Yeah, it
I don't
does.
actually know what happens.
Heals more, yeah.
If
Yeah,
only
usually
it was
every
time.
single usually every single passive effect is doubled if you go to R5.
I wish the cooldown would go down. That would be nice.
Yeah, that's that's what I was gonna say. Oh man, so close.
And where's the sacrificial series in this game?
Yeah, we can also just rename tier 3 to like mommy tier or whatever, so people are less upset. I don't know.
Well,
wait, whoa, hold on.
Hey,
How is there a mommy tier at the bottom and the top? What happens to all the people in the middle? That's a little messed up.
They're just numbers. You know. Okay.
Hey man, after going through the story too, bro, Yangyang loves us, bro, and I love her back. No joke. She needs her own tier. Dude, she waited for us, man. She waited for us. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wait, I don't remember this. I don't remember the story.
Okay, I like tuned in piece by piece because like, let's be honest, man, the Lingyang story kind of took me out a little bit. But yeah. I remember at some point we got like, I think, well, I don't want to say spoilers, but something happened. We were doing a fight and she was waiting there for us. She was like, "What happened? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Oh man, that was sick. We have someone waiting for us, like our protector, our March 7th best friend kind of feeling." But anyways, sorry, diversion, distraction. But Taoqi, I think, is pretty good where she is, though. Again, I don't know if I would go, even if you were to put her up, I don't think she would ever go beyond.
Okay, but like another question, has anybody played with Yuanwu? Like, is she worse than
this
Yuanwu?
guy?
Yeah,
I tried him a little bit.
I think so. Yeah. Yuanwu can still. Yeah, go ahead, Rivenus.
So I personally have tried both a little bit, not too much to be honest. And I think Taoqi probably has some kind of hidden tech somewhere, which still somebody has to find out, and that probably would make her move up. However, right now Yuanwu has the big advantage. He can take the Originite weapon, which is the Gauntlet, which heals on hit as well, on basic attack, which makes it really easy for him to be run as a support, basically.
Every character originates.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the problem is he doesn't do enough damage to be justified, in my opinion, as a hybrid character. But he does still provide the breaks, which are good against bosses, as well as being able to trigger the 5-piece set. So I guess you could use him.
He does also make you immune, doesn't he? To CC. He's like anti-knockback or something like that.
Yeah, he has anti-interrupt resistance. So, and he does off-field damage as well. I mean, it's
the bell also kind of gives you like some crowd control resistance thing. We're gonna have to talk about that later, by the way, because I know we're talking about the bell a lot, but I don't know if you guys have experienced anything like that. But I swear, when you throw the bell up, it feels like you're like or you have like some sort of knockback invincibility or something for a second. I swear I've like face tank things that I should be flown off like the side of the screen for, but specifically when I use the bell, like I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm just schizo, like writing or like farming at 5 a.m. because I'm addicted to the game or what. But Yeah, I actually used Yuanwu, or I tried to give him some gear, but I don't remember who said it earlier or in the last tier list. We were talking about like potentially using Yuanwu with like defense percent and stuff, and making him like scale or like do more damage or like actually make him the hybrid. And I tried it a little bit. Like I obviously I didn't make him 60 or anything like that, but I tried to give him damage, and it just felt like when I was comparing characters of the same level, like let's say the Mortefis or the Sanhuas, Danjin even, but Danjin's kind of cheating for the purpose of hybrids. He just did not feel like even remotely up to par. And they were all around the same investment, like level 40, like they had the same gear on, or like they had all the moonlit sets, and it felt really weird to use him. Or at least like his impact felt like a lot weirder. Like you could see Mortefi's ultimate or like the Mortefi deepen on the Jian, and you're like, holy moly, that's crazy. Like you run like Sanhua with like the with like the Encore or the Calaro, and you see the damage immediately, and you're like, holy moly, that's crazy. I never really had that moment with Yuanwu, which is why I don't know. I was trying to run like different variations of
Did
him, but
you
didn't feel like it.
notice the boss bar like breaking significantly faster?
Um, not really per se. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest with you. I feel like some of the bosses just. I mean, I was doing a lot of Tempest Mephis recently. I
Mhm.
know this isn't like Tower of Adversity, but like just in general, like I'm so tuned to just dodge anything or everything anyways, and like I'm just getting my hits in no matter where I can. I'm not really playing for the break per se, especially when I'm trying characters like Gian or Calcharo. Those are like my two main DPS, by the way. But like for Yuanu specifically, I was not like, oh, thank goodness, like we did a break effect, similar to other gacha games where it's like this is his weak spot, because when you knock or when you break the bar of a boss, they get exhausted, but they don't take additional damage, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't really feel quite the same level of impact, me personally, compared to the other characters.
Yeah, that is the issue I had with him. I mean, one could argue that he could be a decent low investment character that you can just on field dodge and break bosses' bars with. I think there is a case to be made for that, but I'm just not, I just don't think the additional, like, let's say in a Tower of Adversity run, one additional 10-second window where you can beat up the boss unconditionally versus
Yeah,
beating up the boss
harder.
moderately conditionally is significantly better, right? That's just kind of how I feel about him. So his impact seems just pretty low in general, uh, because of that.
So was his appearance in the story.
Oh, come
He
on,
literally
man.
just randomly appeared.
Wait, he's in the story?
Yeah, he
Oh
just
no, this
literally
guy really
randomly
skipped
appeared.
it all. No, oh my god.
Well, I missed it. Oh man, I totally missed him at the story.
It's
Oh
you know
man.
that meme about like Gimli from Lord of the Rings and my axe. It literally felt like that when I saw him.
Oh
And
my
my
gosh.
gauntlet.
Oh my gosh. He's getting screwed in this story too. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so I guess no movement for him then, right?
Um, yeah. I mean, again, if you really want to, like, I'm gonna come out and say it. I feel like the experience I had doing Taoqi and Yuanwu were like identical. Like,
Ah,
and like again, I didn't put like as much time into Taoqi as I did with Yuanwu, but like just based on what I've seen other people experience when they were using her, unless if they were trying to do some like triple dreamless thing, which I thought was like kind of funny when I saw it, but I didn't see as much value in it. Compared to just running, Danjin Rover and a buffer. I think Yuanwu, I tested and I was thoroughly like I should have saved my XP
wait.
at the
So
time.
are you advocating for him to be moved to T3 then?
I don't know if I would drop him down. I was thinking like maybe just have Taochi on the same level as him. And
Well,
I'm gonna leave up to your interpretation if you want to put him
Well,
down or up.
all right,
That way it's in your
Rivenus.
vote.
Rivenus, gotcha. What do you think? Where should we move him or not?
Honestly, I think she should just be Tauchi should be like at the bottom of tier 2. Like they can both just share the same spot, like whatever. I mean, it's too
Okay.
early to tell, but like it seems like from everyone's impressions right now, they're both like unremarkable. So like, why would Taoqi be like moved to the bottom right now?
Okay, so you're saying we move Taoqi up instead.
I guess. I mean, it just makes it look like she's completely unusable. Like at this point.
Yeah.
Because like at least in my tier list, I left like Alto and her, and I left up like this idea because I read somewhere like, and I was using him like during CBD2. He felt like kind of useful, so I left him like in a very conservative like B tier. I think I don't know, I don't remember. But like right now, obviously, again, I'm trying to horizontally scale like every single account. I'm even like saving up like the defense
Pieces,
thunder
yeah.
sets and whatever. Yeah. Because I still want to see how good he is, but like. I don't know. I mean, is she worth it being like at the very bottom? Obviously, Riven has raised a good point about the long concerto build up and long cooldown. But like on the flip side, doesn't he have also like problems right now? Which mainly is like he's also like kind of like a glorified artifact set.
Okay.
He is, yeah.
My main problem,
That's the-
honestly, is Alto being in the same tier as them, because Alto giving 23%
Feels
arrow
better,
damage
feels better.
deepen is pretty freaking good. He doesn't have the same
Yeah.
damage as Mortiphy, and he scales way worse with his sequences simply because they are more focused on his own damage. Which honestly, I mean, it's fine. It raises fine. However, it does not get to a point where it would be comparably with Mortiphy. However, he is way more of a generic support than Mortiphy is, because arrow damage is just way more easily applicable. And if we would just look simply at the numbers, which obviously is very subjective and doesn't necessarily mean much, but technically speaking, he would provide more damage than Mortiphy does to Jian. However, because he does less damage than Mortiphy, even though he gives like 5% more damage boost to Jian than Mortiphy does, because he does less damage, Mortiphy is still better. So I personally just don't think Alto is correctly placed in tier 2 if we move up Taoqi and Yuanwu. I think he might be able to even move to tier 1.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with this actually. Like tier 3 with how big of like a gap that looks does make those characters look unusable, and I don't think any character in this game is inherently unusable, right?
It also really doesn't help that you made it look gray. Like they are like going to their grave when you put them in the tier. Like it's literally like they're losing their color, man. Like that's kind of messed up.
Oh man. So are we getting rid of tier 3 then with this?
I personally think Chixia, Yuanwu, and Taoqi should be tier 3, and Alto is Soul and tier 2.
Okay. We're jumping ahead here. We're jumping ahead. Okay, so we'll start with Alto then, right? We'll talk about Alto. So Rivenus, you're saying that he should be moved up to this tier
Yes,
in line with these characters.
I don't think he's on the same level as those tier 1 characters. However, he is also not on the same level as those other characters in tier 2. That's my personal
So this
opinion.
is what you're saying then. We should move these two down to tier 3.
Chixia probably as well, I'm sorry.
Hang on. Well, we'll talk about her.
You're spitting game about his favorite waifu? Yeah, put your guns up, buddy.
We'll talk about
Put your guns
Chixia in a sec. We'll talk about her in a sec. But okay, so we could, yeah, I'm fine with this setup too at the same time, but it also makes them look like,
We'll change the color and it'll look better. No problem.
Yeah.
Make it green or like a like a sparkly color, like whatever, and we'll be okay.
I personally think the main problem is that people think tier 3 is borderline unusable, which is just not the case. Like if you like the character, play them. It's not literally unusable. It's tier 3 usable.
Yeah, type usable
that
still.
makes it
Type
sound
usable
worse.
Still, type usable still.
That makes it sound worse.
Now they need like a special. Now we need a special disclaimer. Like you get an infection when you use these characters.
Usable. Hey, I mean that's like people would assume this is unusable, right? So I feel like it clarifies a bit. Okay, that's fine. I do agree. I think that these two feel very similar. They feel low impact, right? And I think Yuanwu has potential. I still believe he has potential. It's just that this potential hasn't been seen yet, right?
Yeah.
Right now, some of the bosses that you fight, they just spam parry attacks, which is very, very favorable for a certain general man up here. And
Mhm.
that's not really, I mean, Yuanwu's meant to, I don't know, break gauges. So once bosses have a mechanic where you have to break their gauge, Yuanwu stonks will rise, right?
The other thing is too is that someone mentioned you also gain a decent amount of defense as you get higher and higher. So if you do decide to like invest in the character later,
Yes.
level wise, that is technically additional damage that you wouldn't just get from, you know, attack or whatever. But I definitely have not looked too much into like how much defense you get every level or anything like that. And we're only gonna be like 70 within like the next month or so.
I know. It's gonna
Anyways,
take
so like
even
it
us
is what it
whales
is.
are gonna have to like be another month before just like level 80 or some crazy thing like that, right? Like it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty intense.
Let's
Okay.
change the colors for tier 3 and tier 3 to like green or whatever, because that makes it just look like, man.
Change the
Yeah,
color
let's go.
change the
Having
color to black, so they cannot read it's
Oh
tier
no, you
3.
can't even
Yes.
see.
wow.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Oh my
Untiered.
goodness. Okay.
Oh my god. You
Oh my
can't,
goodness.
dude. It hides the title, so you don't know if tier 3, like you don't know what the label is below it. You can't tell if it's
It's
a
the
good or
Shadow
bad
Realm
thing.
tier.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
banished.
perfect.
Even banished. All
On the
right. All
topic of
right.
Alto, oh sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about Alto. Good. You've already started.
Okay, all right, all right. On the topic of Alto, what Riv said was like I actually really agree with. So I think right now, and something that people, um, okay, I don't want to say it's a skill issue thing, but I find that it is much easier in a lot of cases to just play in most cases the character that gives you a deepen multiplier or like a damage increase and then instantly see the impact of it like with your next character. Like I think that's like a very solid like safe way to play the game, and especially for like the casual players. Like I think that you just see like monkey see monkey do. Like I see like my favorite player, I see my friend talk about Mortefi uses his ultimate into the Heron into like, the outro, and wow, boom. My Gian ultimate literally does double the damage that I would have otherwise gotten, which is crazy. But like if you try to do or apply sometimes like the same sort of thing on someone like Jianxin or San, or maybe less so Sanhua, but like in some cases it's hard to do that, or it's a bit more difficult to time that. I think that Alto has a similar like use case to Mortefi, and even though, like as you guys said, he does a little bit less damage, I don't think that's as big of an issue, because then you free up, like, you would potentially free up Mortefi if you ever wanted to use him with like a character that comes out, or like with any character that synergizes with him. Like it doesn't really matter what the case is, and Mortefi does kind of only synergize the best right now with Gian because of the heavy thing, like the whole heavy enhance. But I don't think that means that Alto is bad necessarily, because like you said, right, like an arrow damage increase. So like if you end up using Alto alongside Gian, it's not you're like, house is on fire, I'm not going to do any more damage. It's a deepen multiplier, and it's pretty good damage. It's arrow damage, which is like pretty much all of Gion's damage, right? Unless if I'm like tripping, that's literally all of his damage, right? So in that case, and especially while people are using a lot of these hybrids at like a bit more budget state, I think that if you want to, like Riven has said, tier 1 I think is like about as fair as it gets. Like I don't think you could
Oh,
really argue like with him
you're
going
advocating
a
for
little
him
bit.
to go up to tier 1.
Yeah, I mean maybe the bottom tier 1, I guess top of tier 2. I also agree that Chixia needs to change. I'm gonna peruse the room a little bit, because I don't wanna get shot by Chixia's guns for my comments about this character. But
Okay, so Alto, I don't know. I mean, I tried looking up content of Alto, and like no one is using him. It's,
I don't even own
I
him.
don't think that is a valid
Like,
reason. Like there
I
are
know. My issue with no one using him is I can't see what people are cooking with him. So I have minimal opinions on this character because of that. Now, people keep saying his English voice actor sounds like me, so I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. But regardless, okay. So I think we should defer to probably maybe more so calculations, right? So Rivenus, as you mentioned, all that stuff about him and Jian having some synergy.
Yeah, I honestly personally think the moment where another non-heavy attack based arrow damage DPS comes out, he will just move up because he's like the only arrow buffer, basically.
And gotcha,
I've actually used Alto. I also have him at S5 right now. One of the things I've noticed.
My God. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he's at S5. Yeah. So one of the things I've noticed is that first of all, you can kind of play him as a main DPS if you want to. It's kind of really fun. And S1, I mean, I'm not sure if we take into account sequences, but like, I don't know, as a future concept, I guess. Like S1 reduces his skill by like 4 seconds. So almost like cuts his skill in half. Because the biggest problem with him, like at S0, is that you like activate the skill like dash once through that cloud, build up like, I don't know, like maybe 30% of your concerto bar, or whatever it's called. No, not concerto. Is it concerto bar? I always keep mixing up Forte and concerto. The
Forte, yeah.
circle one. No, the circle one for outro to trigger.
Oh, okay.
Concerto, right?
That's
Yeah, it's
concerto.
concerto.
Yes,
Yeah,
concerto's for
okay.
outro.
So yeah, it takes a while for the concerto to build up, and like as a booster, I guess it's fine. Like for Jian, if you want to use like Mortefi for somewhere else, but it's also kind of decent like as an on-fielder, I guess. Not for a long while, obviously. Just do those like clouds, dash, shoot a little, just to build up the concerto basically, and also use like the ultimate. But I don't know, like his biggest problem right now is that he's completely overshadowed by Mortefi. Like nobody cares about him. Like everybody's been hyping up Mortefi all the time. And like the other thing about Mortefi is that he's like kind of like, I don't know, like Pyro Xingqiu, I guess. He
Yes.
doesn't provide like damage resistant, like interruption to, like resistance to interruption, but it does in fact like provide the coordinated attacks, and they're freaking huge. Like they're amazing. Like if you build them up properly. And also, he grows significantly better with sequences like Mortefi. And the other thing about him is that, like I'm comparing them to here. So like you only, basically like Alto right now is like, if you want to use Mortefi somewhere else, and Gian needs additional deepen boost. But is it worth it? Because it does take a while sometimes to build up the concerto. I'm not sure like if those sequences, all of them, do you have zero impact on his concerto buildup? Probably not, because like at least S1 sometimes you do stay on the field for at least like 5-6 seconds. You're able to like quickly do a swap cancel from the skill, I think, and still be able like, I mean, split second basically if you're like missing a bit of energy. But like to me, Alto is like still a bit like, I don't know, underperforming at this moment. But if we have like any other arrow DPS come out, because like who else are you gonna buff with this arrow damage? Like who? Jianxin, Yangyang.
Okay.
Like, it's literally just.
I mean, yeah, that's totally fair. I think tier 2 is that's why he is in a good place. However, he also, like, there's one thing we can't forget about him, as he is a pistol user, just like Mortefi is. And Static Mist is a pretty insane weapon for sub DPS hybrid support.
I forgot about it, yeah. Yeah, Static Mist is also like one of those things that hugely impacts a character. Where is it? I forgot where I have it. Obviously, it's on Mortefi.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess tier 2 is fine. And the reason why, like, I actually do think he has T1 potential. Because, you know, like most DPS characters in this game, I think once properly invested should be able to clear out, you know, the tower, right? Just some characters like Jian is going to have low difficulty, and some characters like Alto, for example, would have mid difficulty. But I guess that's the point of making this tier list. So I think the issue with moving him up or down is kind of like, it looks weird for him to be in the same tier with Baizhi, and it looks weird for him to be in the same tier as Yuanwu. So we can just leave him in. I think leaving him at tier 2 is fair. And until his potential is really realized, it's, yeah, I would advocate for just leaving him in tier 2. So,
yeah.
Anyone else have any other opinions on Alto?
Technically speaking, if you do want to run Mortefi, I did see people like say that Danjin is also like a big heavy attacker. No, just saying, if like for opportunities for her to, for opportunities for
Danjin?
the Mortefi. Yeah, like no, well, I'm saying like if Mortefi wanted to be used with someone else with like the heavy attack increase, like Danjin, like a 40% of like Danjin's like gameplay style or a gameplay like her damage share comes from heavy attacks.
Yeah, and
that's correct. Yeah.
Danjin can spam skills, right? Which Mortefi also shoots 2 additional Marcato hits.
Yeah,
instead of the one.
just pointing out that there is like another way. Like, so if you were like trying to think of who Mortefi could be used with outside of Jian.
Okay, so let's talk about Chixia next. Actually, I'm gonna kick this one off, and I think she should actually be moved up a tier.
Holy
Oh
shit.
man.
The hot take.
Yeah, the level 1 guy, the level 1 hasn't upgraded Chixia guy is gonna put it. Okay, let's hear it, buddy.
Okay. So for real, like she is just a reasonable range DPS character. I mean, there are a lot of additional opportunities for her to do damage that other characters can't. And like for example, if you're in that tower, hang on. I mean, I got tower pulled up right here. So it's actually pretty convenient. If you're in this tower, and if you fought this, I mean, not to
The Ganser gang.
yeah, if you fought like this asshole here, Chixia will just shred him a new one. And otherwise you're dancing around every freaking attack he does because he will clock you out in 2 hits. So I remember like Chixia is incredible for like kind of skill issues for a lot of different enemies because of her ranged. And she still does like, enough DPS to where I don't think she's like horribly worse than the other DPS characters. So that's just kind of how I feel about her. I would personally move her up to tier 1. But what do you guys think?
Okay, so I have an S6 Chixia. Have never played
Mhm.
her yet, so I have no opinion on that.
Okay.
Wait, weren't you saying you were gonna put Chixia in tier 3?
Yeah, I personally like. So
No.
yes. So the problem is looking on paper, he is not looking good. On paper, she's not looking that good. And I think her main problem is she is extremely reliant on her thermo bullets or whatever it is, and if she gets interrupted during that time, that's a little bit of a problem. However, I also think that's a very good point that she is ranged, and that possibly makes a difference. So now I'm torn because I think that's a very valid point, kinda. But I also haven't played her on, like, I've played her in the CBT, but I have not played her in live servers currently.
So there are a lot of enemies to add on to the ranged discussion. There are a lot of enemies where being ranged is really good for your practicality, right? And the reason why, like, I can give you another example. The morning axe, that flying bird, the light bird, right? If you're a melee character, you have to step back like 2 or 3 times to get into the ideal range to dodge the light lasers. Well, guess who's already in the ideal range to dodge the light lasers? Right? So they have a lot of interesting mechanics that, well, right now, unfortunately, are pretty anti-melee, I would say. But there are absolutely lots of situations, like a lot of different enemies. For example, surviving in a lot of the tower areas is difficult, but Chixia is not only ranged, she's also mobile and able to sidestep and shift to dodge enemies too. And her ultimate is a 0-frame ultimate, right? So a lot of characters have that, but her having it is also important to point out. And it's also massive AoE. Big damage, massive AoE. No need to group. You just press it. Everything around her starts getting clobbered by it.
Does she also gain invincibility frames with her dash skill?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Right?
Because I think that's one of the things that's kind of nice about her. If you like, well, at least okay, if there's an attack incoming, you cannot like dodge it. I mean, if there's like a wide attack and you're used to like invincibility frames from a dodge,
Mhm.
that's fine. But at least you can maybe avoid like projectiles by losing up one of the skills. Because normally you have like 2 skills ready to use,
Mhm.
and usually you're just going to be able to utilize one skill to unload the thermal bullets, right? The other one will be just sitting there. No?
Yeah, so Chixia, you can use the skill, then you use the second skill. Usually, I use a skill to generate the bullets, and then the second skill to unload the
Yeah.
bullets. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And another thing is like, there's actually a lot. For example, when the monkey is on the pillar, although the Abyss Monk, the Tower Monkey doesn't use the pillar, like the pillar slam, right? He hops
Hologram
onto the
does.
pillar. Yeah. So he doesn't do the pillar slam, but if there's situations where her range counters are good and stuff. So I don't know. I'm an advocate for tier 1, but I'm gonna also obviously let you guys help me decide here. So Rivenus is tier 3, right? Oh man.
Honestly, I think tier 2 is probably fine. But the problem is, it's the same reason why I don't release my sheets before I release a video, because I want to have played the characters before I give a definite. I can't talk. A final opinion on that crap.
Mhm.
So I kind of want to refrain voting for Chixia, because I think it would not be
Okay.
fair to not have played her and say like it's tier 3 or whatever. But I personally just, and that is the M-Tashed way, fields crafting without having actually played her. But if I would need to field craft, I don't think she's on the same level as Alto, but she also isn't on the same level as Danjin or whatever, but also not on the same level as like Yuanwu. I don't know. But
Yeah,
again,
it's kind of an issue, right? Moving her up here looks weird with these characters, but maybe we'll move them around. We'll see. So, are we saying that we just leave her where she is?
I leave it whatever you guys say. Again, I haven't played her.
I think the issue with what we're doing right now is that things are on the tier list right now that need to be moved in order for certain characters to make sense. Like, not to spoiler go far ahead, but we're saying that the reason why we don't want Chixia in tier 1 is because like Danjin's in there. If you take
Mhm.
Danjin away and you put her into 0.5, doesn't it look fine?
Yeah, but then Danjin looks a little weird, right? Well,
Really? I think her being up there because of how well she does. Like, I actually think it's okay to be 0.5, even if you aren't that good of a Dan. Well, again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think she has like, okay, just pretend Danjin disappeared from the game for a second. Would you have a problem with her being in tier 1?
I personally wouldn't.
I actually think we can easily also move Dungeon to tier 0.5, simply because not all, like, she also has now a secondary place with Havoc Rover anyway. So
Yeah.
I think that
Okay.
would fix that. We can move Chixia to tier 1 and take Dungeon, move it to 0.5.
Okay, so we're going against democracy here, and I guess we'll promote Xixia. Wow. And
She okay, because someone mentioned it, and I just want to like touch on it too. A lot of what we're talking right now is based on the Tower of Adversity. So like, although we did like mention the the hologram monkey for a little bit, um this is like also take into consideration like how or which Tower of Adversity floors she would excel in. And you like rightfully pointed out a few. That floor that you're talking about, that exile floor, is
Mhm.
like, that's my kryptonite. I'd hate that floor with all my might. I seriously do. And if
Yeah.
again, if Chixia makes that easier, then hey man, maybe I'm a finger guns enjoyer too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the finger guns. Okay, so we'll move Xixia up to tier 1 for now. We can potentially revisit later, but for now, I'll flag her just in case, right?
Mhm.
If things look weird. So Danjin, so far we all are kind of talking about moving her up to tier 0.5, right? That's the current discussion.
Okay. Could I start on Danjin actually?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I've done an unintentional amount of like research in this character. I made a guide for her, but I also like spent a lot of time arguing with people about this character because I've seen a few people try to use her as like everything. Like, people have tried to use her as the main DPS. They've tried to use her as the hybrid. Some people are even trying to use her as like the buffer, where like if you have no gear for Danjin, you could just use her as like a buffer for Havoc Rover. But I
Mhm.
think just the fact that she has like a bunch of different ways that people are trying to play her, I think gives her some value. Because if you can run her as the main DPS and that works for you, great. If you could run her as a buffer, great. If you can run her as the second half of the Rover Dawnless, or sorry, Dreamless double combo that is like blowing up, and I think most people are considering that to be like one of the strongest teams in the game, also great. But I think since she has so much versatility, like she shares a set technically with Rover, and I'm gonna be honest, if you're not building Rover right now, I mean, have fun, I guess. But like she shares sets technically with Rover. She has so much, or like there's so much value to building her, farming her, playing her, using her, that I can't imagine she's not at least at 0.5 personally.
Okay.
Even
Yeah.
even without skill gapping.
Yeah, 0.5. Rivenus, Gotcha, you guys have any inputs on this one?
Nope.
I'm just gonna echo Hannah's thoughts. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
the same. I'm feeling the same way like as he is.
Perfect.
I mean, if we remove the Havoc Rover from the equation, I don't know, maybe she would be a bit lower.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Me too.
like the fact that they can share the same set, you can literally just swap the sets. You can like decouple them for like separate like adversity stages, and then obviously, like I myself, like how I play her right now, I guess I'm just using her as a burst, like with Rover. Just
Yeah.
that's it. I'm not like utilizing all her like combos.
We should get
Yeah.
Fogmaster in here for this.
Yeah, maybe next time, huh? Haven't.
It's
Yeah.
it's being brought up too. There are like some considerations that you have to make, and Gacha Gamer mentioned it earlier about like playing characters on mobile. I'm sorry, man. like we can only go so far. Like Danjin, Calaro, Sephiroth, Kakarot, whatever you want to call them. Some of these
Goku.
characters are just not made for mobile that well. And as a final note, sorry, I know I've talked a lot about her. The whole like she dies thing, very, very valid. But I do want to say at the same time, she's one of the only characters in the game that can main DPS and also heal herself. So if you know how she works well, she also does sustain herself quite well. And there's also, and they haven't changed it, that thing where you can use your resonance skill out of combat and then heal yourself. So like, yeah, it won't feel good because you're not at 100%, but you could always be about 50% if you're like afraid of dying, which I thought was worth mentioning.
Yeah, no, self-sustain healing makes it a little easier sometimes to run her without a healer in certain tower stages for sure. But it's definitely a double-edged sword because if you want to maximize her DPS, well, you got to be at that 10% a lot.
Yeah, especially with the sequence, right? Like it's like below 60% or something. She gets bonus damage or whatever.
Yeah, and it's also like in order to do her full forte, for the full forte, you have to be building up the whole bar, and in order to build the whole bar, you go down to 10%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Danjin, I feel like is in a good spot. Okay, who next? All right, let's talk about
Lingyang.
Lingyang. Okay, yeah.
My hands are up, man. I did not touch this guy. Do not plan on it.
Okay.
You know, there was a
Go to
like a
town,
running.
boys.
I was completely cursed in CBT too. Like, and that really like soured my experience with the game because I got 3 Lingyangs.
Oh no.
Every single time I got a 5-star, it was Lingyang. Then later on, I got lucky and got like 3 more different 5-stars. But like Lingyang was, and even when I like made my review for like Wuthering Waves, and I said that like Lingyang is so clunky, like he doesn't register like the hitboxes. His kit is like all over the place. And I thought, they will fix him for release, They will make changes to him. Did they make changes? Like I don't think
Okay.
anything changed about it.
I
played with him in release.
want to say something on Lingyang. So the problem
Okay, one sec. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
All right.
Okay.
You guys can keep talking. Bye.
I personally think Lingyang is in a spot where we will find some new way of using him just because we have now more or less discovered quickswap teams to a certain degree. And I personally think revisiting his rotation to a point where you might want to actually use him in a similar way of how Encore, for example, is used might be actually the right play for him. However, that's more of it's a lot of copium to be honest. I'm just inhaling copium for that. Like I don't think they would actually leave him. Like, come on, it can't be that this one character is just so much worse than all the others, can it?
I mean, I'm personally a bit biased right now because I got like pretty good Glacio set like substat rolls. So to me it feels nice right now. That's the only reason. I literally got really good substat rolls on like Glacio set. Like the only time I got lucky. And yet again, like Lingyang still keeps haunting me, so I'm now using him as well. I don't know, like I think like for example the stage with those exiles, which is like kind of causing problems for a lot of people. I don't believe they have Glacio
Definitely
set
don't have
resistance.
Lingyang.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
Sorry,
don't
guys.
think they have like improved resistance against glacial damage. I forgot which damage they are resistant to. I think it was Havoc, or I
Yeah,
don't
it's
remember.
Havoc right now.
Yeah,
For
I
some of
think it
them,
was.
like there's like the shrooms and I think the path, the leader itself, I think has Havoc resistance, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I mean sometimes juggling in air combos it's kind of like one of those issues. Kind of the same with Wanderer from Genshin, because like enemies AI change a bit when you're like staying up in the air, and I've noticed that the same thing with Lingyang is that when you're fighting in like mid air, sometimes their like logic changes a bit. So it's also something that you need to like take into account when you're fighting like in midair. And obviously, when you're like unloading those combos, you have to like dash and maybe sometimes interrupt your like combo strings. I don't know. To me, it's like a mystery right now. Uh,
Does he still
it's
have that thing where when he ults, his like hitbox doubles in size?
I haven't heard about that.
Sorry, this is just from what I didn't get to play CBT2. But what I was told was that one of the reasons why he feels so clunky is because you would imagine that when he goes into the air, he like bypasses certain like ground hazards or
Hmm.
like hit hazards from below him, but apparently he just ate both. So if you shot him in this like in the sky and on the ground, he just got hit both. Which is
So
it sounds ridiculous, by the way, as a concept.
So I'm not sure. Maybe a big issue with Lingyang and closed beta 2 was that, if I'm correct, he needed to use aerial dodges while he was in the air. And aerial dodges back in the day, well, okay, they still are this case. Aerial dodges are much, much worse than grounded dodges. So aerial dodges have like literally like less than 15 frames of invincibility or something like that. Just off the top of my head, okay? Whereas ground dodges have like, I don't know, like 40 frames. So ground dodges are like 2 to 3 times better at dodging stuff than aerial dodges. And on top of that, you could dodge only once in the air, whereas you could dodge twice on the ground. I think what they did in Closed Beta 2, they may have changed it so that while he's in the pogo stick mode, he's using the ground dodges instead. So that would already immediately bump up his just like practicality, which is much, much better because air dodges were a disaster. Let's just put it that way. When you're a melee character like this, 9 frame or 15 whatever frame dodge windows are insane to deal with in this game. So I wanted to actually ask Rivenus, how does he sheet compared to a DPS character like Encore or
Okay, so
Calaro?
the current rotation we are using is basically the same way of how we would calculate GN, which means 14 seconds of on-field time. And he cheats really bad. However, I don't think that's the correct way to calculate him. And I personally think we need. Well, I'm currently cooking a little bit with Lingyang, but I don't want to talk about it yet. But I personally think he is way better than people give him credit for, and he can probably move up to a tier 0.5 if we find the right way of
Okay.
using him, which would be in in more of a quick swap
Hybrid.
team.
Let me ask you another question, Rivinus. How does he sheet while he's only in his ultimate?
Bad, because that's the entire sheet.
That is the entire duration, huh?
All right. So, I mean, currently, with the 5-star standard weapon, he would be at 24,000 DPS compared to, for example, Encore 28,000, Jian 32,000, Calaro 29,000. You know, even Sanhua does as much damage, and I just don't think that's the right way to play him. Which means I think he is much better, but we need to sheet him differently. Which honestly, I'm still cooking on it. But it's not easy right now. I need more time to get him where I think he belongs to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's interesting. My gut instinct. So, and this is the issue with characters that we haven't used much, right? And I should have done some research in a sense, but my gut instinct is I would move him up to tier 0.5 because he's now technically a grounded character. It makes him so much more practical for one. But my issue is that if he's not sheeting well, that's a big problem. I mean, he also doesn't have a good echo choice, right? Like you have Lampy, which is pure garbage for DPS purposes. Then does he? What's his best echo option besides Lampy?
You either go Lampy or I think also that the star, the Glacios,
The
the
Glacier
Glacial looking
Star.
star thingy. I think it just
Oh my
releases. Like,
goodness.
yeah, I think that
What
one
if
is
you
also.
what if you just use lingering and you just give him Mecha Bomb? Like,
You can do
dude,
that
enough.
probably,
Enough
yeah.
is enough, man. Maybe it's enough to compensate.
Mecha Bomb.
Yeah, like
Oh my goodness.
you
Yeah,
could
I
run
mean,
it 2-2, right? If you
he
really wanted
doesn't
to.
he doesn't quick swap while he's on his ultimate mode. That's for sure, right? Because it takes, his attacks are so fast. So, um, yeah, it's an interesting predicament for him. Uh, so do we want to move him up or do we want to leave him here?
I have definitely not played enough of this character to say. I was just curious because, again, if they fixed a lot of what you're saying, it sounds like he shouldn't be clunky. Like, again, a lot of the complaints that I heard were regarding what you were talking about. And I mean, just like if you hear that, like, the character has twice the size to get hit, like, what? But if that's removed and that's fixed and he has better dodges, then it just comes down to his damage. So I don't know.
Okay. I mean, yeah, he does sheet lower, right? He's mainly single target DPS as well, right? So,
My main problem is we kind of have to talk about the current state right now, and nobody here from us has played this character enough to just say it's like insane. But I personally think going like the attack set on him with, for example, the Mech Abomination, which also boosts outro damage by 60%, and he has 600% scaling on his outro damage.
That sounds kind of goofy.
Yeah, I think he is actually pretty damn good and probably more closer to the other characters in tier 0.5. However, I personally don't want to take that stance just yet, even though that's my personal
okay. I guess we can, we can be bold and just move him, right?
We could. I mean,
I'm
also,
fine with that.
I just want to say, just based off of that, because like now, we don't really have to test to say what I'm about to say, but you know what? Other character we think is quite high on the tier list because they have an omega inflated multiplier for no reason.
Who?
Like Havoc Rover's
Yeah.
ultimate is 900% for fun, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Havoc Rover.
You know what I mean? Like,
but it looks weird for her to be in the same tier with these three. Or for Lingyang to be in the same tier with these three characters.
Okay, but
right?
let's just say my sheet is wrong, and I'm very sure it is. That's the reason why I have not published it. Why would it look weird? If he does the same amount of damage and is not clunky to play as, for example, Calaro or Encore or whatever, then not weird, right?
Yeah.
Just because we think it is, just because one of us has actually played him enough to be able to form a solid opinion, I don't think that's fair to say.
The 0.25 tier.
Yeah, tier 0.25. Let's go.
Let's bring it back. Bring back 0.25, 1.5,
right.
0.75. Let's go, baby.
All right. Okay. Let's boot him up for now, I guess. Oh man, but yeah, we're uneducated here on him, right? So this is much more speculative. I feel. Okay, it's okay. It is what it is. We'll take some bold moves here. The three of you all okay with this?
Yeah. For what it's worth, too, like I know we have definitely not like super invested in a lot of these characters. Just like as an aside, it's not that like for me personally, at least, it's not that I've like never put gear on and tried to like use Taoqi or Yuanwu to like the same like level. It's that like to invest in a character to make them the same level as like, a lot of your characters like Mortefi or something is going to be, I think, like fairly unrealistic, especially 1 week into the game. But like you can still kind of see what the purpose or like what the goal is supposed to be of these characters. So like though I definitely think like we're gonna have a bit of an asterisk on some things, like with the uneducated. I don't think it means that we are like Googling what all of their skills do per se. It's just something I wanted to say.
Okay.
Like I personally, at least, I just built a team with him, Sanhua on Moonlit, I believe, and like Verena with Rejuvenating, and it was pretty easy to like clear at least the fourth or the third floor. I don't remember. But then again, like I think you were away, but I said like I was the only one who got lucky. Like it was the only time I got lucky on the substat rolls, and like my Glacier set is pretty
Mhm.
cracked. So it's
Okay.
kind of hard for me to judge this right now. And from practical use, like he was fine. Like I don't know.
Fine. Yeah.
It's not like super difficult to play. Just build up to 40, like pop the ult and like use the glacial damage bonus and unleash the wrath, basically.
Okay. How about we just we compromise and we put him at the top of T1?
Probably best to keep him there because we
Yeah.
still have other units in 0.5
Yeah.
like Calaro and Encore. So
Okay. Okay.
for me.
Top of T1. That's fine. I feel like this is a decent compromise that we have here. All right.
For what it's worth, I don't think 0.5 is going to look or is going to be as cluttered after like we get through it, by the way, which is why I don't think like having the characters we have in like 0.5 is that big a deal.
Okay.
Aren't we already done with tier 0. Like, which units are we actually missing?
I think if you want to space the tier list out, I don't think there's anything wrong with putting Encore at 0 and Calaro maybe having some some discussion about where to put him.
Okay. Yeah, we did talk about Encore already. We said to leave her at 0.5, but we can consider that when we revisit the tier.
Yeah, just it was always going to change like once we saw how like the tiers panned out.
Okay. So what about Spectra Rover then? I actually think Spectra Rover might warrant a demotion. I think there is a case to be made for that.
I mean she's over. I mean they are
They're
overshadowed
overshadowed,
right
yeah.
now by like Havoc. That's it. It's pretty
Yeah.
simple.
Also,
And you can't use both.
And it's not like you can even use them both at the same time. You have to pick one, and that's it.
Yeah,
And
you
they
can't
also share
swap them out, right? Like
and you
if
can also
wanna...
have to share the vigor, so it doesn't matter. Like she or he still has like the vigor.
yeah,
belonging to
also,
one of the stages.
yeah, also, I personally think she has like advantages which Havoc Rover just does not have, which is the fact that we can also use her in like support slot because technically, I mean, we don't have that sequence yet, but technically she can heal, so she would be able to be used as a support, and she also does shred spectral resistance. Unfortunately, we don't have a DPS for that yet, but I think
Unless you're
Right.
the arena main.
yeah, I think
Prefer
Arena's
to-
DPS main, baby. Let's
nice.
Yeah. Okay. No, fine. Let's leave her as T1. I think that's an easy yeah. An easy
To be
thing.
clear, are you like you aren't able to use Havoc for a clear of Tower of Adversity, and then on another floor Tower of Adversity you can't use the
I just think
0.5,
that
right?
I believe the character
Or
just
sorry, use the Spectral.
shares the vigor. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter like which element you use.
Oh, I see
That's
what
a
you
good
mean. Oh,
question,
yeah,
yeah.
the energy. Yeah, the energy. Sorry, yeah.
I guess we're not 100% sure about that, but is there a point to test?
I mean, I guess not, based on like the math of it. I don't
Okay,
know
well.
any situation where you would even...
Well, no, I mean actually that would make sense to do, in my opinion.
Yeah,
are you saying like if it ends up not taking...
Yeah, yeah. I mean, here, just give me 1 minute. You guys can keep talking.
Yeah, this is also why, I mean, even if she ends up being a healer, something I was going to ask, like, is there that much value in healing right now?
Yes, because she can run the concerto weapon and the healing set. So she builds both
Double
super fast.
Yeah, I mean... Oh, man. Oh,
Yeah,
man, we're going to
16.
watch this guy. Oh, man.
1.7k baby.
Big numbers.
1.7k, no big buffs, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah.
28k rover. Holy crap. Okay,
oh
I
my
mean,
god, man. Oh my
yeah, I want to
God,
see the
this is
ultimate
so
now.
crazy.
Let me see the ultimate nuke. Oh
Here it
no.
is.
That really said 33,000, by the way, on
Okay.
Jian of all characters.
Oh, dude,
Oh
yesterday
man.
I hit over 200. I hit over 200K.
Okay.
Yeah.
200,000? What
Yeah.
in the world?
Okay, we got to switch rover.
Yes, we have to.
Switch. Oh, okay, I have to leave or whatever. Yeah, I'll just leave real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, let's switch over to Spectro while you guys can talk about it.
I want to bet I think it will keep it.
Yeah, it should. Intuitively, it should keep the stamina.
Yeah. If it doesn't, that would be crazy. I mean, you would just use this character for real, for real.
Yeah, you just use her on the
Yeah,
whole
you just use
tower,
her on
just
both sides.
rover.
Both sides are over.
I mean, that
Yeah.
would be actually big if they didn't do that.
Yeah. Let's see. Is this rover? Yeah, she's down to 9.
She's done.
She's down to 9.
Unfortunate.
But you can use. At least we know that you
Yeah, you
can
can switch
swap
the
her if you
elements.
need to.
You can swap. Yeah, if you need her as
Or
support, you can swap her between the elements.
Yeah.
So that's nice. That's nice.
Future
I mean,
proofing too, in case if they ever give us another element too for her.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we may as well consolidate like the character, right? It's just Rover, but it's
Yeah.
fine to have Spectre here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So doesn't share shares vigor, unfortunately, with her Havoc counterpart, but yeah.
I
so-
think she's fine as she is. I also would argue Yangyang as well as Baizhi are fine where they are.
Okay, you guys want to knock them out right now? I don't think we have to talk about every darn character. So, you
mean,
two
I
have anything to
can-
say about Baizhi and Yangyang? I do want to poll my community actually. So while you guys talk about it.
Yeah, I think Yangyang and Baizhi are both kind of relegated to like that support slot where, I mean, we've brought it up a couple times. They're walking artifacts. They're stat boosts, and although I will say in some cases you do need healing for Baizhi, and Yangyang has a very very Walmart esque Jianxin ultimate. The energy can be helpful at times, but originally and the last time we came on to this tier list discussion, we were talking about how practical or how useful it would be to give Jian his ultimate a lot with the help of Yang Yang's outro skill,
Mhm.
but it actually feels like the double damage that you get if you paired him with, again, Mortefi, or even if you were to use someone like Yang Yang alongside Encore, even Calaro, you would just get way more value if you gave any of the main field DPS, it feels right now, someone that directly boosts their damage instead
Okay.
of directly boosting their energy.
So there are two sides to that. Number one is you wouldn't use Yangyang instead of Mortefi or Alto, you would use her in conjunction, which means you would use
True. And
Yangyang, Mortefi, and Jian in a team. So, however, it is not that Yangyang is better than Verena or Baizhi or whatever. It is that Yangyang is easier to use than Baizhi in that rotation because of Concerto, especially because she is a beast at generating Concerto. She provides a little bit of grouping. To be fair, Jian does not necessarily need that. And she is more often an option which you can use if you don't have Verena, if you don't have Alto, for example. And technically seen, especially for the early game, she is also very good because you will not have that much energy regeneration on Jian. If you do get like really good crit rate and crit damage sub rolls, and then also have like 2, 3, 4 ER sub rolls somewhere later in the game, her value will fall off massively. But I think especially early game, that is where her value lies.
Mhm. And I mean, a lot of what you're saying definitely applies, especially if you're running her as the support slot, not as the hybrid. But yeah, judging by like how I was originally using her earlier, and I think a lot of people are trying to use her as the hybrid. That felt terrible. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, you don't
That
want to
was-
use her in a hybrid slot, I think.
That was crazy. That character was so weird feeling in that slot.
No, Rivenus brings up a good point. Once I agree with him that once your teams are a little bit better built, Yangyang does feel like she's falling off. Because another thing that gave Yangyang more value than we had initially thought was because of the 30% energy sharing has been changed to 50%, which is absolutely massive when it comes to, I think it's massive at least for Yangyang's value because, obviously energy that she provides is much more valuable.
Mhm.
So if it were just based on my playtesting and experience, I would actually move her down, but that's just because now my teams are pretty well built. There's just no room for her, right? There's no reason for me to use her, but I could say that about, a lot of the characters here, since I do have Arena, I do have Encore, I do have Havoc Rover built, and GN, of course. So I don't know. I find it hard to slot her, but in the early game, she's definitely a useful support, right? She's
Can I
definitely a
ask
useful
who your
support.
3 team supports that you're running are? If you're running
Oh,
3 teams, or
to be
would
fair, I only have 2 teams at the moment, but I can
Hmm.
split them up a bit more to make a third team. But that's going to take a
another
little bit
month.
more. Yeah, another
Couple
at
weeks, I
least
think.
2 weeks to
Yeah.
build out the third team. So yeah, and I don't think she would be my third support to go to either, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. I think I'd rather use Baizhi or Sanhua or something. So
So
we'll
Jianxin,
figure it
you
out.
think would be your third support then, instead of her? Or so it would be
So
like Jianxin, Verena, and then Baizhi or
yeah,
or
definitely Verena Genshin, and then for the third one, that is a hard choice. I might run a no healing Sanhua team as an example or something. I haven't figured it out yet, but we'll see. So
okay,
um,
fair enough.
yeah, I mean, her being here is fine with me. So I guess we can just knock it out, right? Leave it T1.
Yeah, she has potential. I mean, that's like one of the more unique ultimates or outro skills in the game too, right? No one is quite on that, like, or quite does what she does. So in
Yeah,
that sense,
yeah,
but you want to talk about Baizhi now?
yeah. Let's knock that one out real quick.
Um, yeah, I think Baizhi has the unfortunate fate of being. I mean, she was already labeled as Walmart Verena. I know we love talking about light versions of characters or like budget versions of characters, but she really is budget Verena in a lot of cases. She does give like the damage increase, or she does have like the number of. I mean, her ultimate gives technically feels similar to Mortefi with giving you like a turret or like an additional damage increase with the pet that comes out, but it's another stat stick. You throw out or you activate your rejuvenating glow. You, I guess, use your outro skill for like the deepen, and I think that's kind of how the character goes. But like you said, I guess if you're comparing her to, would you rather have no healer, Yangyang, or her? She's not the worst, but she's also free. So like, do you put that up in
Yeah,
value a little bit
but
more?
now Verena's free too.
Yeah, we kind of didn't expect to just get a free
Um,
everything for breathing, huh? That's
Yeah,
a little.
okay,
yeah,
so my main problem with Baiji is simply she has the same ER requirements as Arena does. She has the same cost on her ultimate. However, her ultimate is not that useful compared to Verena's. She provides the same amount of attack, which I mean not the same amount. She provides 15%. Verena does provide 20%. And I think personally she requires a little bit too much field time to build the Concerto
Yeah.
compared to Verena. However, she is free. She is easy to build. And yeah, also you have to pick up this little thingy, I guess.
The E
Right.
is also like feels marginally longer to press than Verena. Like Verena is like that. It comes out, you activate, and you swap. Like if you're gonna quick swap, especially if you have charges on Baizhi, you're like sitting there spinning some stuff up,
So
and it does heal. But
Verena can go from 0 Concerto to 100 in 3.5 seconds if you are fast enough.
That's insane.
Our full combo is basically intro. You start when you come in with the intro, you start mid-air, then you do a plunge attack, then you do a short dash to cancel the plunge, then you do your E, so your skill, then you start with a heavy attack, but you can cancel the heavy attack with the dash as well. So you don't have the problem that you have to first dash and then you land up back mid-air. You can just cancel it and still get the Concerto, and then you press ultimate and you're done. It goes really, really fast.
Can you cancel the the charge attack with the ultimate, or do you have to dash cancel it?
You have to dash cancel actually, because what you
Okay.
want to do is you want to press you want to cancel the Bellbone Echo with your ultimate. You can cast them at the same time.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No.
and-
And how much field time does Baizhi need?
More than 3.5 or 4 seconds. That is what I can
If
tell
you're
you.
gonna use her concerto, that's a long time.
Yeah,
Like, it's
because-
like you have to do like 2 rotations to get her
Yeah.
concerto.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
that basically means you have to use her as quick swapping. Otherwise, like you just feel terrible, honestly. And she's got like it's not like her damage isn't even, you can't even say, well, I've got attack percent on Verena or something. You're literally Baizhi.
Okay, so
Okay.
people are asking me to show the Verena combo. Should I just quickly show that?
Yeah.
Because so
I can try it too.
one important thing to note, I can quickly because I have a recording of it.
Oh, okay.
One important thing to note is my dashes are not very fast. You can go faster than what I do. Do you have it up?
It's giving me this loading screen. You can see it. This is what you. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. So that.
Oh. Oh, okay.
So because I don't have the intro here, I have to start by jumping. But I mean, in the end, what you do after the intro, you stand midair anyway. So you start off midair. But basically, what you want to do is you start off plunge attack, dash back, her E, then cancel that, and you cast this at the same time. That's all.
And
then
bam,
you're at
intro.
Yeah, and you can.
Here, let me just try it. I'll just try it real quick.
All right, go ahead. Pull up.
Yep. So right now she starts with 0. Right, so I got to get one character's intro skill. I think Spectre Rover is probably a little faster.
Do you have variation on her?
No, I don't know. I have
you need variation for that to work. Otherwise, you need.
Oh, yeah.
One more basic
the weapon,
attack.
Yeah. The weapon, I have that.
Okay.
So she has her intro.
Yeah.
So I do Verena intro into plunge attack into charged attack. Is that what you said?
Plunge attack into skill into charge attack. You dash cancel the charge attack, and then you press Spellborn into ultimate basically at the same time. But in that order.
Okay. Hang on. Hold on. Hold on. That's a lot of steps, man. Okay. So Verena intro into plunge attack into skill into charged attack into dash cancel into ultimate. Okay, let me go over that one more time. Verena intro, charge attack in midair into skill, charge attack into ultimate.
Bell plus ult.
Bell plus
remember
ult.
the bell.
Bell
Yes.
plus ult. I mean, okay. Here we go. Charge attack. E skill.
Yeah, basically.
That was fast. You got it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see, if you now have variation, you would be at full.
Wait,
But
isn't that variation? Oh, it's not. I think I swapped her off. Did I swap her off?
That is a crazy. Wow, that is insane, actually, for how fast you got that.
Wait, are we talking about Baizhi or Verena now? Wait, I do have variation.
Oh, you do.
I do have variation.
By the way,
technically speaking, you're missing, right? Because you can upgrade it to 60.
I went to lose. Is there Verena S2, or did you?
No,
not
you need only variation S1. Can you?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask, maybe he had S2 as well.
No, I don't have that.
No, you need a 0 and only variation at 1. That is enough.
Okay, so I probably messed up then.
I think I don't have a replay. Did you do the second charge attack into the dash cancel? Because I think you missed that one.
Wait, there's a second charge attack.
Yes.
Yeah. The grounded charged attack, right?
Yes.
Okay. Should we do it one more time?
Gaming, dude. In theory, all the theory crafters here are good at the game, right?
Intro,
guys?
plunge, skill, into heavy, into Q plus R. Intro into plunge, into skill, into heavy, into Q plus R. That's on all. You can the heavy. You can
okay. Intro, plunge, skill,
cancel.
heavy, Q plus R. Yeah. Okay. So intro, heavy,
plunge,
skill, dash attack, and then R. Oh, Q as well. I'll just do Q after.
And you are at full
Oh, we're so close.
I think if you hit someone with your charge, you would have gotten it.
No, you don't need to hit somebody. You can see that he has 0 photosynthesis stacks. It uses that without.
Oh, right. You're right. Yeah.
Okay, so we missed one thing. I guess it's we'll try one last time then.
Wow, this is about to elevate your game.
I know, right? I've just been YOLOing with Verena.
If you want
For
to have it
now-
a little
Me
bit
too.
easier, you can also just after the intro do like 2 mid-air attacks or something before, or 1 mid-air attack. You could do that as well.
Okay, let's try that.
4.5 seconds is still better than, you know.
And then dash tag E Q R.
You have to do the
I didn't
skill
do the
before.
right sequence.
Yeah, but you can see how close you are anyway, even though you miss up the sequence.
Does the sequence matter?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
you
does
need to
matter.
use skill. Oh, you
You-
need to use skill before the heavy.
Yes, because your
Yeah,
skill,
yeah,
your
yeah.
intro and your skill give you a
Gotcha.
photosynthesis stack, and
Gotcha.
your heavies basically consume those to give you like 15 concerto each.
Yes, yes. Okay, so the skill, the plunge attack in midair gives you one, uses one. Then the skill into heavy uses the second one.
Yes.
Right? Gotcha. Okay, okay, okay. Last time,
This
I
is
promise.
gaming. Jeez,
I
bro.
promise. Last time. Okay. So, charge attack E. Wait, do I need to hit something there?
Possibly.
No, he said you didn't.
I mean, if,
do you or do...
it depends. If you hit, you will generate one more. But you can dash cancel the hit, so depends a little bit. It's not easy to get it
Okay.
completely right.
I see. So we're just off by a tiny bit. I'm sure there's a way to
But
figure that
Honestly,
out.
going from like I don't know how long it's taken you to get Verena max, dude. Sometimes, especially with quick swapping, I just don't even get hers. Like it's
Right.
like sometimes I'm just swinging, and then when I get it to her, I get it to her. This is just better. Like honestly, you're just getting it so early. That's sick.
Yeah.
No joke.
Okay, so regardless, we'll figure out that little hiccup now. We were talking about Baizhi, I guess, but Baizhi definitely uses just more field time. Leave
Yeah.
it tier 1, right?
hmm
Anyone have anything else to say about her? I guess I would move her just like here above Spectre Rover personally, like just for
Fine for me.
optics. But okay,
I think the final thing, it was said that like in terms of her being given early, like maybe that shouldn't be as relevant for a tier list because we're just assuming you get them.
right.
Like
Fair enough.
obtainability or like relevance in terms of getting them. Just like I think even without that taken into consideration, I think she's still T1.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Who I guess we've talked about a lot of characters now, right? I don't think we need to talk about Mortefi and Sanhua, right? They're just fine. Okay, sorry. There's one thing I do actually want to do. I want to
Okay.
get rid of the mommy tier just because it looks like there's too many tiers.
I mean it'll still consolidate. I mean it just basically goes from if it looks like this, then yeah, you're right.
Yeah?
What?
Are we
Well,
okay? Are we okay getting rid of the mommy tier?
I would agree with this.
Okay.
Well, the thing is though, is that when you delete this, now our like skew is towards. So like you know, we talked last time about the bell curve. Now like we have a center of the graph, right? And it's in tier 1 because there's only 5 categories. But now our like top end is greater than our average or greater
Okay,
than our
so
center.
let's be honest. We have a little bit of a problem with our tier list, and that is the fact that we have zero differentiation between supports, hybrids, and main DPS.
Okay. So are you nominating we make three separate?
Well, not for
Tabs.
today because I don't have that time, but
It
mean-
won't take long. I can do it real quick. Here. I'll do it real quick.
That's so funny. MTash is gonna be back and it's like, wait a second, why do we have Pride Wins tier list now?
Yeah,
true.
yeah. It might just look just like Pride wins in the end, but I guess we'll see. We'll see soon enough. The main challenge is, do we want to do this split though here? I feel like we. Oh man.
I think the issue is that I don't think it would be as simple as if we started the tier list down, like
Yeah.
split it in 3. I don't think it would just be.
I would
'cause-
not change it now. I also think it is 100% fine to just be top heavy. I mean, we are comparing them against
Yeah.
content, as somebody in my chat said, and not against
yeah,
each
I guess
other.
That's fair.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fair. I
Yeah.
guess.
This is fine. Let's just do one tier list. I
We
think
didn't
it's
talk about
reasonable.
Calaro though,
Oh, I forgot about him.
and technically
Okay.
Yinlin, but you know, I don't think any. Well, hold on,
Okay,
Can I,
well-
wait, no docs for Reno. Hold on. Can you can I DM in the in the chat real quick, and no one don't.
Huh? Okay.
Wait 1 sec. I don't know if this is confirmed.
Don't worry, I will pull it up on stream.
Wait, I think I already did a Calcaro poll, but we'll do it again. It's okay. Since we're finally talking about him.
Did you? I don't know if you guys backread this.
Oh. I have
this
not heard
confirmed?
about that. I have not heard about that at all.
Yeah, I don't know if that's because maybe we could just leave it as it is right
Yeah,
now.
leave it as it is.
I was back reading a little bit, and I don't know. Sometimes they be saying.
Yeah, possibly share me that later. That would be really interesting.
Yeah. I guess technically we didn't do a whole dedicated section on Sanhua. If you want to talk about Sanhua, we
Sanhua,
touched on it a
Motefi?
little bit.
I think they're fine where they are, personally.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
I also think
Metagame
Calaro is fine
staples.
where they are. Like, the problem is Calaro really needs a little bit of quick swappy teams, because if you don't quick swap with him, you just die. You're literally stunning yourself for 6 out of 11 seconds by doing the death messengers. And if you get hit by basically anything, it's just dead.
Okay,
I would probably move him. Yeah, exactly. That's what I probably would do. I would move him within the tier. However, I don't think he is like unusable or whatever.
Should he be behind Jianxin?
I think so, because he's more difficult. Right?
Yeah.
And also, she's a support, so I mean, she has more viability. You can swap her like between different teams.
Yeah.
Ironically, she's also like one of the best units for Calaro.
Yeah. It literally seizes up some of his AoE stuff, or his AoE issues. Also gives him the Resonance Liberation. Dude, his damage is so skewed towards Resonance Liberation damage, by the way. It is crazy. I've never seen a share like that. But also, about that character, I mean, we're all keeping him 0.5. I thought we were gonna drop him a little bit lower, like just based on our initial talking. But yeah, I think that character is always gonna be a skill gap character, and it's gonna feel bad because I think, as you guys mentioned, there's no like true dedicated character for him right now until Yinlin comes out. But I don't think that the characters that you'd pick with him anyways right now feel bad enough to justify necessarily dropping him. Like, I thought we were gonna be crazy and dropping like tier 1, tier 2, or tier 2.
Oh, right
like,
here.
Legally, this is not. I'm not part of this stream anymore. But yeah,
Okay.
difficult character. I mean, everyone's gonna be, dude. All the Calaro believers are gonna be eating good, man, when Yinlin comes out. Holy moly! But who knows? Maybe they'll change Yinlin so that, I don't know, she doesn't need Calaro anymore. I don't know.
I mean,
We'll see.
Yanlin never needed Calaro. Calaro
right.
needed Yanlin, but Yanlin never needed Calaro.
Well, if you really think about it, we all need Yinlin.
I mean, yeah, fair.
Okay. Well,
Oh, but Calaro was 0.5.
oh, oops. Yeah. Brain.
Oh yeah.
Brain malfunctioning.
You already relegated him.
I know. I already demoted him. No. Okay. I mean, I guess that was more anticlimactic than I expected.
Yeah, I don't think any of us
Ultra.
want to be put on the hot. I mean, look, man. Well, I'll put your face on the thumbnail for like the Mr. Beast woe face, and putting Calaro at tier 3 if you want. By all means.
That's a good one. I think. I wonder if people recognize my face much. I usually only use it in streams, not much otherwise, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'll put the cats and then Photoshop you in the back with, you know what I mean? Like, it's perfect.
Brutal.
All right.
Man.
Seems pretty good though.
Think we are done, are we?
Yeah, are we? Gotcha,
Dude,
gamer.
we removed the mommy.
How do you
too,
feel?
bro.
I honestly just have like 0 comments about Yinlin, because There was this thing with Jinyuan. I'm just googling up right now and trying to like refresh my memory. But like he
Mhm.
was hyped up, remember? Like for HSR, and then he got like shit treatment if I remember correctly. He was a bit different. Like and right now we're basing our opinion about Yinlin from CBT
Yeah, of
2.
course.
But somebody else might be basing their opinion like on dreams or whatever the fuck they're called, like in cringy way, like leaks. But like I don't follow them
Oh,
because
dreams.
yeah, sometimes
Yep.
people call them dreams, like I don't know. But the thing is that like when I'm making a video about Calcaro or whatever, I just quickly mention like, yeah, maybe possibly he's gonna be good with like Yinlin because they could change her, like
Yeah, of course.
judging from things like
Yeah.
I have zero idea if she's really tier 0. Like I would just obviously I wouldn't change her, but like in my tier list, I just put her in TBA because I have no idea like what's gonna happen to her.
That's fair. Not announced yet,
Yeah.
right? So we'll have to wait till she actually comes out. I mean, that was the basis for our old tier list. We're like, guys, and everything we're talking about is with an asterisk because the game is not out yet. And we don't know what's
Just
going
make
to
like
change.
55 different reasons like why this tier list is like subjective or whatever. Just shield yourself with as much armor as possible, and then make the tier list.
No, yeah, it's a good point, for sure. We'll have to add a lot of additional disclaimers.
How many weeks is it until Yinlin's banner comes out?
Less than 2 weeks, about
Less than
12
2.
days, I think, 13 days.
12
I don't know.
days. Holy moly. Let's go.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then we get to find out like if they made any changes. Although judging from things like they basically just I think they nerfed like most of the normal attacks and like plunging, and they made a lot of changes, I guess. So it's
They
very
they
possible Yunlin will receive like different changes as well.
they also change a lot of things and just don't announce it, to be
Oh yeah,
fair.
yeah, definitely.
Like I even if you have a full blown patch notes, I'd be careful, boys. Like it's just like a general PSA for all you guys in general too. Like I don't know if you guys saw it or if you looked at it, Riv. Flautist got like stealth nerfed or something. Like he doesn't hit as many times or doesn't resonate or it doesn't generate as much
Yeah,
resonance
he doesn't
energy
do
or
it
Talking about
automatically anymore. You have to keep it
hit.
pressed.
yeah,
Oh,
like
no.
You can
Rip.
what?
you can still use it for double outro on culture though. However, it is much harder to do now.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then I think someone was saying Mecha Bomb was 15 seconds before yesterday, and then right as people were
Oh,
talking
wow.
about Mecha Bomb, it got changed. It was just like a functional. Like on the tooltip, it still said 20. Like to be clear, but like the
Okay.
actual cooldown itself in game was like 15, and then a hotfix came because a hotfix is basically out every like 8 to 12 hours. By the way, like in
Yeah.
case anyone's curious, but they like
Yeah.
changed it to be back to 20 or something. Like
Oh,
whatever it
wait,
is, or
it
maybe it's
still
down to
says
15.
it still says 15?
Dude, maybe try it. This is just what I had heard from people. I personally don't have Mecha Bomb like used right now,
Oh,
but
it's 20 seconds, dude.
yeah, look, you see what I mean? Look,
Uh,
like
The
what
tooltip
is going on? I don't
the
even
tooltip says 15, and
like
the
what?
cooldown is
Talk drama
20.
again.
Oh, man, another nerf.
I
I
need
wonder if they
160
fixed it.
primos.
Yeah,
Dude,
because I was testing it, and the Mecha Bomber's damage wouldn't change regardless of my Calaro stats.
oh, by the way, in case you guys were also like curious about like, and this is not baseless accusations, by the way, towards the spaghetti code. If you guys take a and like I don't like there was a bunch of people talking about like the phantom skins, the phantom heron. If you apply the skin, it does not only less damage and has a weaker multiplier, it
Oh my
also
god.
generates less energy if you use the
Oh
phantom
my
heron's
god.
and side note about it too, it's not a phantom heron skin, which like you would imagine it's like, oh well, it's not that big a deal, just use it as a skin and, you know, you don't need to have the phantom heron. If you change your phantom heron into, or if you change your normal heron into the phantom heron, it converts the full echo into a separate item, and it's a new entity that is called a phantom heron. So even if you're trying to quote unquote only keep it as a visual change, it's not, because it changes the whole item, which is
Oh
absolutely
my gosh.
ridiculous. So like literally, and okay, it's not like game breaking difference in damage technically speaking. Like when I did it like at base for like the character I did, it's a 100 damage decrease.
But can you go back?
Yeah, you can change it back and forth. It's
Okay,
fine.
that's fine.
But
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
but it's just
okay.
like, you know, a lot of people saw the shinies that are like, whoa, let's go. The shiny's cool.
But
But
yeah, I
like
Wait.
think I read on Twitter Zajev gave the PSA.
Yeah, I was doing it with Zajev. He was like, "Can you confirm?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, what is this?" Like, and I have like a couple of the numbers. It's just it's so bonkers.
We are
And some
truly living
people,
in the open beta.
yeah, and then again, people were like, "Oh, dude, just use it as a skin because it says apply phantom appearance." Wait. So before you apply it, go back for a sec
Wait,
to
what's
like
even the
your
difference
Echo.
between the two?
I
It's
want
very subtle.
The
I
glow,
want
the
to
glow.
send you something right now from my chat. I don't want to say it because I'm not
Okay.
sure about that, but if that is true, that is really interesting.
Wait, take
No, that's crazy. How do you
I
get?
did hear about that actually. I think it was okay. Wait, so because I don't know if we could talk about this or not, but so
I
take a
would not
look at
talk.
your
I would test it before we talk about it because
yeah.
people take even if you
Yeah.
give a disclaimer and you say it's probably not true or we don't know, some people will just take it as a given, as a fact, and if that is not true, that's just simple.
Wait, yeah. So take a look, Win. So go back to your Echo. So take a look at Jianxin. Like her, you have your Heron. You see how it says like impermanence
Yes.
at the top. If you swap it, apply phantom. It says phantom appearance, by the way. It says on. The item is different. The tooltip, by the way, stays the same, but it is not the same at all.
Okay,
It's very
so
different.
we've changed this phantom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but before we see that difference, can we talk about the text concatenation
It
here?
is so
Yeah.
bad, dude. Don't even talk to dude. Have you seen your substats when you get like
Yes.
the resonance liberation, dude? You just
Yeah.
have gibberish on your screen.
Yeah. Resonance liberation, right? Let's go.
Like yeah, if you like what is that? What is that? What am I looking at? Resonance liberation damage
Yeah,
bonus
boys.
clipped into like the 9.6%.
And
Yeah,
this
man.
and this problem was basically from CBT2. I also
It was.
showcased in the video. It was still there,
Mm-hmm.
so they didn't change it.
Oh my
By the way,
goodness.
again, it's not confirmed right now to what extent the Phantom versus normal looks or changes or whatever.
Okay.
But there like again, I haven't been able to confirm myself, but there have been certain effects with Phantoms that change, like substats, like whatever it is, like the amount of stat that you gain, whatever that changes. So just keep in mind
Oh my
that
goodness.
it is a little bit goofy. And again, to like end this rant, I think it is absolutely ridiculous that you like get this rare thing and you're like, oh man, you know what? They probably gave you bonus stats. This is so pay to win. Or like, oh my God, they're rewarding these no lifers. No, it gives you less stats. like, like what a goofy way to play this.
Oh man, what a nightmare for theory crafting and stuff, and just anyone like trying to figure out stuff in this game. Yeah.
Yeah, but it also keeps stuff interesting. Oh well.
That's true.
All right.
I don't
Yeah.
notice a difference, but I'm not fighting anything right now. So
Do we have anything else? Because otherwise I would probably have to leave soon.
oh yeah, you should.
Okay.
It's getting late, I think, over there. So.
Yeah, it's not about late. I just have something else to do as well.
Oh, okay. Hey, well, I do have one thing to say. Looks like my community is fairly happy with our tier list. 19% not so
59%?
happy, but so it's all right. It's all right.
All good. Honestly, if you think about it, tier 3, if you flip the tier list upside down, means that it's a great tier list. If you think about it that way.
Very, but then our tier list would be hot garbage.
I'm close. Hey, I'm not looking at those. You know what I mean? Out of sight, out of mind.
Oh man.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, thanks, Rivenus, for joining us, and
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if we have to update it again soon enough, but we'll figure that out. Huh.
Yeah, let's see now if the Yangyang releases.
Week 3 tier list.
Yeah.
Weekly update to tier list change as we
Oh,
discover
man.
more and more spaghetti code.
Perfect. Let's do that. All right. Cool.
All right.
Well, thank
See you,
you for
man.
having me. Much appreciated. I do wish you still a nice time.
Yep.
Well,
See you
see
later,
ya.
man.
Bye.